3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? I'm going to apologize in advance for my shitty voice right now, but welcome to the SPPD Procast. I believe this is number 6. We got GrayGod here today for the first time. Welcome, GrayGod. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Other than the voice, I'm doing great. We also got 2 regulars here, AbioGenesis. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you guys.
And SDNW with the cowboy hat. How you doing?
Doing all right.
That's awesome. Jamin, thanks so much for raiding everybody over here, keeping the South Park Phone Destroyer stream dream train, whatever you want to call it, going. Appreciate it. Also, thanks for helping me figure out that, solidifying that bug earlier. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Don't play challenge for event tokens. We'll talk about that later. All right, but first off, we're going to come in. We're going to talk a little bit about Anniversary Week and Black Friday, mostly the deals that they were giving us. Now, the biggest change that Red Lynx has made when it comes to deals is the guaranteed legendary, or just really high chance, like a 50% chance. We're going to talk about how that affects the game, how it affects the meta and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Anniversary Week, Bio, me and you talked about this a little bit on one of my streams. What did you guys think? Daily events were kind of cool. I think the deals were pretty shit, though.
Yeah. I love the daily events. That was the best thing about it. That and the PvP ticket offers. It was just the ridiculous high chance of getting legendaries in those packs that kind of screwed the whole thing up.
Yeah, and it was kind of frustrating where it was like, you do an event for BHK and you don't even get a guaranteed BHK. I think they did on the last one you did, but it's like you can't guarantee one fucking epic.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want people to level up too quick, right?
Too quick. Yeah, I mean 1% 1% towards level 4, man. It's too much.
They don't want free players leveling up too quick, but if you're spending money, then you can have all the 50% legendaries and epics will rain from the sky. And
I still don't have Satan
yet. If you're not dropping money, then you're on the slow train to success.
It was nice to get a couple imp tweaks, before this buff.
I feel like they've got him turned up where he's way more common in packs than any other epic. I keep seeing him everywhere.
Well, they have that catch-up mechanism, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I get 7 Terrence and Phillips from PvP packs.
Yeah, I'm constantly pulling maxis right now. I'll pull like 5
maxi too, yeah. Yeah, from this Mystic event, every single one of my solo packs, I got like 5 maxis. Every single one.
Yep.
So sorry, SDNW. I used all mine to get them to level 4, so I can't donate them to you anymore.
It's okay, man. I got like 150, maybe 200 of them just from like the events and packs in the last couple days.
Yeah, welcome to all the EU people who are able to stop by the stream today. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. All right, now the Anniversary Week, I agree. The daily stuff was pretty cool. Now, I wouldn't want to do that every week because it's kind of a fucking nightmare. But it was definitely cool to see events. And I think they kind of, they realized they fucked up and then they gave us some more shit at the end of it. Like you got the guaranteed epics and that pack that had like 10 babies or whatever. So it wasn't terrible, but
I think that was to make up for some people just not getting what they were supposed to be getting in the first place.
There was an issue with some of the challenges or whatever not putting out.
So my feelings on it, I thought the daily events were cool. However, I thought it was incredibly boring that nearly every single daily event was just grind for locker tokens. And I'm like, that really kind of leads into a bigger issue of the fact that I think, especially this season, it seems like every single weekend event now there's only been one event this season that was a card event. Almost every single event. I think there was only one. There may have been 2, but I'm pretty sure it was just one this season that was a card event. And every single other event has been locker token events. And I think it's because they realize, the thing is the locker token events literally take you twice as long. Maybe even, it takes me 2 locker limit runs to get close to finishing. And that's, spending just a tiny amount of cash chasing some of, I only spend cash on the lockers if it's like 35 to 50 tokens in the locker, and then I'll go like maybe one to 3 buys on it or something like that.
Well, on the contrary, man, I go faster doing token events.
I do too.
Because I refuse to change my deck for fucking card events.
Yeah. So the toss up there is token events are better for people who refresh PvP packs and care about their rank, and then the card events are better for people who don't give a shit about their rank, who are gonna do 9-point decks or 5-point decks or whatever. So I agree. There's definitely push and pull there where one is better than the other.
Dirty D rankers.
Yeah, because you feels like token events take forever. Like unless you're spending actual cash, like they take forever. And the thing about the card events is that you can at least still earn points even past your locker limit. Whereas with the token events, once you hit your locker limit, unless you're spending 45 cash just constantly refreshing your PvP packs, like you're not getting anything for the rest of the time.
Yeah. See, I usually spend like $10 every 2 weeks now. Like I've really cut back on my spending on the game, but I spend about $10 on cash every 2 weeks, and I basically only spend that on PvP refreshes during events like that. I can get the whole thing done in an afternoon. It's like 4 hours, grind out the tokens, and then I'm done, and I don't have to worry about it for the weekend.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, because you can. It's nice for especially when people have a bunch of teams that they're jumping to and trying to help with the card packs. They can just keep. With the card ones, they can just keep bumping out points for people, which is definitely beneficial to teams that are really top heavy. And like you said, Abio, you could go 3 locker limits, and if you're not refreshing PvP packs, you could still not get you could get unlucky and not finish your event, which is kind of shitty.
I mean, like I said, because I don't spend cash I don't refresh PvP packs or anything, and I don't chase a lot unless it's high value tokens in the lockers. I'm not chasing it, so I spend as little cash as possible, and it normally takes me about 2 full locker limits, so I have to at least spend 2 days because I have to wait for my locker limit to refresh, and it's a lot more time than, because I can normally do the card events in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm done with them.
One time I saw Buck or Steve, I don't remember which one, but they said that these events are not mandatory. People that don't have the money to put into it, they can just play as much as they can and get as much as they get out of it, and that's kind of it. But if you're on a competitive team, you have to finish these events. Like it's crucial. So
I will say, go ahead.
I did the Satan event, the full entire Satan event with only a 1-point deck. So that took me all weekend.
Yeah,
all grinding the whole time. I did. How many was that? 250 wins or something like that?
That's crazy.
I can understand it for somebody in your position where you're trying to maintain like a really high rank and you just can't. You don't want to change. But like for someone like me who doesn't give a shit about their rank, like I'll just run like a max point deck and blow the event out in no time. So yeah, I mean I can understand it from your perspective. The only other thing that I really hated about Anniversary Week, and this is what I talked to you about, Glanzer, and was that there wasn't a single deal for like discounted in-game currency.
Right.
They didn't really even give out a lot of free in-game currency, and a lot of games like this, I've played a lot of these types of games. I haven't been a big spender in many of these types of games, but I've played a lot of them, and every time there's an anniversary event, even an Animation Throwdown, they gave away a pretty decent amount of the in-game currency. It wasn't like a ton. It wasn't enough to like really make an impact, but it was something. And then they also had like ridiculous deals for like 50% off like their currency or something. And there was a limited amount that you could buy, so it wasn't unlimited, but it gave everybody the opportunity if they wanted to get some of the in-game currency for a lot cheaper than you normally would. And we didn't see any of that here. And I think it was a really big missed opportunity because I think a lot of people would have taken advantage of it.
Yeah, to have like the 50 pack for $40 or something, even that would have been awesome. I would have probably put $400 into it because I mean I'm gonna put that money into it anyway. Might as well get it at a big discount.
Yeah, I mean, if they had put it low enough and then just put a cap on the number that you could buy, so that way everybody is getting a pretty much equal benefit out of it. But I mean, what does it cost them? They're selling pixels, man. It doesn't cost them anything to do this stuff.
At the end of the day, yeah, you got to think about it. It's free money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I will say though is that compared to some other games with as far as the events, it is possible to finish the event without spending any money. And in a lot of other games, Abio, you've talked about this before, a lot of other games, it is not possible. You cannot get to the end of the event. You cannot finish, and get the top rewards or whatever unless you put money into it. So I will say that they do have the avenue for it, although it might take a lot of time. That is kind of the toss-up with these games, time or money. Which one do you care more about?
Yeah, no, I've said that before, and I still agree with you there that at least the events is one thing that I think they do really well, where you can finish them. Even though it takes me 2 locker limit runs, I can still finish the token events without really spending any real money, because I'm just basically spending cash that I've earned from the events anyway at that point. So yeah, I give that to them, and I still agree that I think that's probably one of the best things about this game is that you can finish the events, you can collect all the costumes, you can, get all the new cards that come out, maybe not legendaries, but at least in like epics, they guarantee you a couple of copies. I don't think they guarantee you enough copies, but I still think that they could at least guarantee you 1 legendary. I don't see anything wrong with giving people access to a level 1 legendary.
Yeah.
Like it's not that overpowered for anyone. And then
I
from
want
there,
that fucking Satan. Still don't have him.
But it like you said, at least you can finish the events without having to spend money. And there is something to be said about that, because most of the other games that I've played, any kind of event that they have, you're not finishing that event. You're not getting the best rewards from that event unless you're spending a pretty hefty amount of money. So there's good and there's bad. They do some things well, and there's areas where they really could improve a lot on. And their deals.
The biggest place where they could improve is listening to the community, because we constantly are talking to them and constantly like posting in their updates. And I don't know if you guys saw, but the letter I wrote this week got a lot of attention. And I mean, the response that I got to was basically the same generic response we get to everything, that it's being passed to the devs, and that they appreciate my tone because I wasn't rude and terrible to them like a lot of people are. But
it was a good post, but I'm gonna say I don't agree with all your balance changes.
Well, I mean,
that's for another conversation.
That's for a whole other conversation. I understand, but I mean, you can agree that changes need to happen more frequently.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that was the whole point of the thing, is that games like this require constant balance updates. And I think a lot of the community would be happier if they would just do changes every 2 weeks and try things until they find a balance. But they're not even trying anything.
Well, with the beta now, we'll definitely see more changes more frequently, I think. But at the same time, I mean, we don't, like I've said this a million times, we don't have any idea how many people are working on this game right now. There could be 2 fucking guys coding this shit. So
it's just Buck and Steve. There's no actual dev team.
There's no dev.
Buck and Steve, I don't think that's the code for the game.
They're just doing YouTube tutorials trying to figure it out.
They're hiring for his job right now, so.
Yeah. Okay. So let's switch over to the Black Friday deal, specifically the guaranteed legendaries that they started doing with the Satan packs. Was the first one with they guaranteed it. With Black Friday, they had the ridiculous 2,200 packs that you could buy 50 times. That after 3 you'd guaranteed a legend, which is good for people to spend money, bad for people who are trying to compete without spending money. What do you guys think?
It was like $1,000 to buy all those fucking packs, man. I wasn't touching it. I didn't
touch it either. I mean, I
think David bought all of them. Go figure.
Yeah, and again, a complete missed opportunity to offer the in-game currency at a discounted rate. I mean, they did that last Black Friday. Last Black Friday was the first time that I ever put money in on this game, because the deal they offered was like, you got a decent amount of currency, and it was basically like 30 or 40% off, or maybe 50%. It was pretty cheap. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll put a little bit of money into the game. It's a good deal. And didn't see that again. I mean, they really seemed to like overvalue their currency. And this game, like, it's one of the worst things about this game is that they're so protective about letting players get currency and earn currency. Like, it's very, very slow.
Yeah. Big thing though that everyone is noticing, I'm sure now after the Black Friday offer, is the plethora of people with level 5 epics and level 4 and 5 plus legendaries running around at all types of ranks now.
Yeah,
it's not a top
absurd.
100, top 500 kind of thing. It's everywhere now.
Yep, and that's the other thing is that they have a philosophy on one hand where they've stated in the past when we've talked about wanting them to improve rewards in PvP packs, improve locker rewards, scale them in legendary and stuff, and they say, well, we don't want to do that because we don't want people getting max level epics and max level legendaries too fast. We want to artificially keep the pace at an artificial level where we can kind of control it. But then on the other hand, they go and offer these ridiculous deals where you get a 50% chance at a legendary and you can buy it 20 times and it's only 1,000 cash. So like that's basically like what, about $200, which is a lot of money still, but it is accessible for people if they wanted to do it. And you can just jump to a level 4 legendary, or if you already had a level 4 legendary, maybe you're on your way to a level 5 or
I think
a
it's
level 6.
I think it's fine that they offer those deals where you have a higher chance of getting the legendaries, but they got to restrict them to like 5 offers. They can't do those 20 out of 20 or 50 out of 50. That's just absurd.
Exactly. It's predatory is what that is. That's
it
straight
is.
up predatory. It's
I'll admit, I bought all the mecha ones.
People.
I did.
Those deals might as well say David Wen buy here. Like there's no other.
Yeah, he's got a level 6 mecha now, man. Level 6 mecha.
If you are going to
He has
offer
level
these
6
ridiculous
everything now.
deals and you are going to let people buy 20 of them, then you have no excuse to not increase the rewards for people who are free to play. Otherwise, all you're doing is you're just making the disparity between people who have pockets, like deep pockets,
And that's what I said in my letter.
even bigger than it. Like you're not doing anything to. It's double speak. You're saying one thing with your left and you're doing one thing with your right.
It's what I said about the legendary balance change in the first place, the epic and legendary balance change. These cards would have still been the best cards in the game had we left them alone.
This would have taken longer.
It just would have taken longer. All they did was push it up and make it more of a hot commodity. So it all ties into these 50-20 offers or 50% legendary chances and stuff. It's quick cash grab, and it works hella well for that because I've heard a lot of people are spending a lot more money lately.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that when they made the change, it only helped for a little bit, because when they made it where level 4 epics were much stronger than level 3s, it doesn't really take that much to get level 4, right? So if you were playing from day one, you were there and you were able to be competitive for quite a while until the people above you who were spending more time or more money started getting the level 5s and the level 4 legends. Then you went back down to being, where you were probably with your level 5 commons in the previous meta.
It still took time. I mean, it took me probably 6 months to get all of my level 4 epics. And I mean, I didn't get my level 5 legends or my level 5 epics until around the time that the legendary balance changes happened. So
I only have my epics at 5 for green. Nothing else is there.
Yeah, I got all mine, but I mean, I didn't get them until about 3 months ago. So it's definitely not a fast process. But I mean, then they do these deals and completely undermine the work that we put in.
Yeah, and
the value in the whale offers too kind of makes me feel sad that I busted my whale nut back in the day and not not recently.
Right. Yeah. No, if these offers had been around when you and I were coming up, we would have insane decks. We'd all have David decks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's it's just obvious what they're doing, and I think a big issue is that they just try and hide behind this veneer of like, oh, we're not really doing this stuff. This is but it's obvious what they're doing. They just really just need to come out and either admit it or they need to change.
I don't think either will happen.
I don't think.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not going to change. If it changes, then the game will cease to exist. I mean, they got to pay their paychecks. They got to make the money for Ubisoft or whoever's up. They got to do it.
I'm just hoping with all this extra money they're making that they do some serious improvements to the game and we get like a Clash Royale year 2 kind of like change. Because I heard Clash sucked in the beginning, and then like a year in, they got really, really good, I think. So
maybe they can hire some devs that
like that
have some experience with CCGs and can actually put some time into the balancing of this thing.
Well, the beta should hopefully help a little bit with it.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Yeah, and like Scorpion's saying in chat, the percentage of players that actually talk to The percent of players in the Discord, in streams, in Facebook groups, you know, in whatever is small compared to the amount of people who just play it for fun. They have no idea what meta means. They think the fucking voice lines are the best part of the game.
Yeah, but those people burn out quick. I mean, I don't imagine that anybody who's not going to take it seriously and play at a competitive level is going to stick with the game much longer than playing through the story mode.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there. That's kind of the toss-up with these games, like because they're built in a way that's meant to be casual. You know, that's why there's a 4-hour limit. That's why there's the 30-day locker limit, because they don't really want you to play 10 hours a day. That's kind of the idea, you know. And I think the way this is set up is much better than, oh, you get 1 energy for a game every 5 minutes or some bullshit like that. Like, those games are fucking terrible. So I think the setup in this is one of the best, because it's the only mobile game I've ever played that I could sit and play for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah,
it really is, truly is. Now I have a lot where I pull the game up every 2 hours to play, or I pull it up every 4 hours consistently. But to play it and to like, I can't imagine streaming another mobile game. Can't imagine it. I mean, clashes in games like it are similar, but.
Yeah, no, I've tried playing other mobile games, and I've tried streaming other mobile games like in this type of genre, and you really can't do it. There's very few that you can. And I mean, so like I said, there are things that I think they do well in their game design. There are certainly, like, it's their economy, and then the way they listen to the community, or the lack of listening to the community, I think are really the 2 big areas.
Yeah, but no offense, most of the shit I see from the community is stupid as fuck.
A lot.
Not you, GrayGod, but like a lot of it is just like if you get mad that they don't listen to you, it's because like you don't have any idea what it takes to make a game, to keep a game balanced, to do anything. Like, you have no idea. And not saying that they necessarily do more, but at least they get paid to do it, and they have fallout if shit goes wrong, you know?
Yeah, nice guy Eddie in the chat brought up a good point. We are due for a goddamn PvE expansion, like another set of levels in PvE.
That would be awesome. Or just reset. Really like let us reset them all, you know? Even that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, new ones. More exciting content.
That would be cool. I'm not sure.
No casual player wants to come in and finally beat Cartman and then just redo it again.
I want to get more text messages. That's what I want.
Yeah, what happened to all the text messages? No one sends me text messages anymore except for challenges.
That shit was thoroughly funny. Too. Those are thoroughly entertaining. The one when Randy comes in.
The one with Cartman being the Buddha. You can't be the Buddha, Cartman.
Oh, man. Yeah. Good shit. All right, let's move on from the Red Links bashing. And let's move on to talk about the newest card, Mr. Slave. I honestly didn't play the challenge very much, so I don't know too much about Mr. Slave. I think his animations are fucking hilarious.
Dude, and the swinging dong is just too much.
It is absolutely great.
He's an incredible card. Like, I mean, he fits the Mr. Slave persona perfectly. He's got his giant black dildo sword. When he dies, cocks pop out of his ass. I mean, it's really, really good from a design point. But he's a terrible card.
I saw some people saying that they didn't understand why the cocks came out of his ass when he died. They didn't get it. I was like, come on now, you guys.
He's a pretty mediocre tank, and he dies way too easily. I mean, even I've seen videos of like level 5s that people have bought and they played him, and he's not any better than any Randy. He's way worse than all the Randys. Yep. So I don't think he's ever going to see any kind of play unless they give him a serious buff.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of work, but it's hard to tune him because that heal can actually be super oppressive if you were able to keep him hovering right on half HP.
I did see another video that had him hitting a new kid, and it was just the right balance of his level and their level, and he dropped down and then heal back up and then drop down and then heal back up.
Yeah, exactly. Jammin had that in his stream earlier in challenge mode. He had Slave and Maxi, and Slave just did not fucking die. It was hilarious.
Dude, I've been running Maxi lately, and I am absolutely loving him. When you get like 5 enrages going at once, and you just see the green numbers just flying, awesome, fantastic.
I think I think he could use a little bit of an adjustment in the amount of damage he does. I think the amount of damage he does is pretty bad. His ability is very, very strong, and I think people are underestimating it. He's really good against chicken coop, like especially if you can get him up to level 4. He'll be really, really good against chicken coop.
The problem is he doesn't kill those cocks, man.
Well, you have to like. That's the problem. Is his attack's too low. You actually have to work with him. So I mean, Bounty Hunter Kyle or Ninja buff on him, I think, are both very good things to do. And then if you could run heal spells, like you were saying, either Priest Maxi or Regeneration, Hallelujah, anything like that to help keep him above 50% so that he keeps getting more and more procs of his ability. He has potential. I do think that the weakest thing about him is his attack, but even at level 4, he has only, I think, 2 or 3 less attack than an Osimo at level 4. So, I mean, for a tank, he is kind of scaled where he needs to be. I think his health is less than Osimo's.
A lot less than Osimo's. It's only like 1500 at level 4, isn't it?
Yeah, but arguably his ability is just as strong, and maybe in the right situation even stronger than Osimo's ability.
Yeah, that's really the thing about it. It's so situational, and this game comes down to a lot about how easy is it to get value from the card. Not necessarily because you could make a deck that has a perfect combo that is unbeatable, but if it's a 15% chance that you're going to pull that off, your deck's probably going to get its shit rocked by a guy who doesn't need a combo at all. Right. Just every card is better than yours.
A lot of the top decks don't run like Dougie and stuff like that because it's something that it's too much of a risk. You'd rather
Dougie's garbage.
Well, yeah, you'd rather have a balanced composition than a combo you need to attempt to set up. Because what if you don't get those cards in the right order? What if things just don't work out? Yep. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you pop a ninja and the things that you're about to buff get fireballed or something.
Man, I've popped so many ninjas into cock magics lately.
There you go. That's exactly it.
It's really pissing me off.
But I mean,
cock magic.
Ninja's just a good card on his own. He doesn't need to combo with anything. I mean, things like
beefy. He's surprisingly beefy.
Robin Tweek and Canadian Night Ike, you don't see that at the top. You don't see Dougie, or you shouldn't see Dougie very often at the top. Like, it should be a niche thing, a combo that you can try to get to work. But I mean, the Dougie buff is a problem too.
Yeah.
Like,
God, Dougie's just. I think Prophet and Dwarf Engineer are in a pretty good place. Barrel just does too much damage. Like,
I'm really sick of getting one-shotted by barrels, and I'm really sick of not being able. Well, actually, I've been having a lot more success in stopping Anal Fist Dougie lately, just because I've Satan in my deck. And I've been running UC.
I think Dougie's should be high risk, high reward. The issue, like, I don't have a problem with people running combos. Like, if you run,
I think it's fine to give him a damage buff. Yeah, the HP buff that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't pull off your combo with him, you should be punished for it. It should be high risk, high reward. If you do pull it off, you get rewarded. You get a pretty hefty amount of damage.
Right.
But as it stands, you can run a level 5 Dougie, or if you already have a level 6 Dougie, good God, but you can just run that straight into like multiple assassins, and it doesn't take much.
People lead it all the goddamn time. They'll sit there and lead a barrel Dougie, and it's pretty fucking hard not to let it take a bar, especially if you're running a low level amount of assassins. There's nothing you can do to really stop it unless you're gonna
and that's
it or Satan it or some shit.
And that's without anything to back it up. That's without like a fireball or an arrow storm or a lightning bolt
center field didn't even get
freeze ray
at the start of the match.
Yeah, it's way too powerful now. His HP just needs to go down.
Yep, that's all that needs to happen with it. I mean, the damage is obviously absurd, but like you said, high risk, high reward. It's just the HP makes it too difficult to counter, even with like super high level cards.
One thing I have noticed, as far as countering Dougie, if you change your assassin drop to be in between Dougie and New Kid, it makes him take a little bit longer. And if he's taking the New Kid hits, he does die to an equal level epic assassin. So because usually you put your assassin right by a new kid, and then you hit Dougie kind of right before it. It does kind of put your assassin in a shitty spot, but I'm kind of torn on that because I don't think a 2-drop or a 3-drop should absolutely easily counter a 4-drop like that.
No, but I mean, there's been times where I'll drop like a level 7 Paladin Butters. They'll freeze. I'll drop a Windy or something to try to hit it, and it'll hit me, but not enough to take a full bar because I'm level 22. But I mean, it's pretty close. And I mean, even when I'm dropping multiple things to try to stop it, I can't consistently beat every single Dougie I come across, even with, Rogue Token and Labard Jimmy, multiple assassins. It just doesn't always work.
Yeah, and then the issue is that you're committing all that energy just trying to stop Dougie, and then you're not stopping it, and then they're just able to blow your team up, and then they also get so not only do they get this advantage of taking a chunk of your life, even if they don't take a full bar, they also get a situational advantage, and they get an energy advantage.
Yep. Exactly. That's why people playing it first drop. It's almost never a negative trade for them.
Right.
It's not, especially not early in the game.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so it needs some work, I think, but I think the change is in the right place because Dougie was absolutely worthless.
He did absolutely need buffs. It's just the health needs to be lowered because you have to commit way too much energy to stop him for 0 risk on their part.
Well, and I just think it's just a continued trend of them over buffing things that people typically haven't been investing resources into in order to get people to invest resources into them and
right. They want
spend
people
more
to play
money.
cards. They want people to play cards that don't see a lot of play, and I understand that they want to like all their cards to get love, but they have to do it in a balanced way. They can't just keep saying, all these cards are super powerful now, everybody's going to play them, because I mean that's why we have the metagame we have. That's why the top 200 players are all playing green.
Hey now.
Hey,
yeah.
You've always been
and
playing green.
I mean,
so.
I think that
there is a huge surge in sci fantasy going on right now.
Because the only other deck
realizing that it's super strong.
The only other deck that can really compete at the top is the cock deck. I mean, nothing else really works.
The meta is pretty
it's not even the cock deck. It's not even the cock deck. It's cock magic and AQR just being able to shit on everything repeatedly and have no real play around.
Yeah.
I'll sit there and get rank 1000 guys that just give me a huge run for my money now. That's just like, dude, and all they're doing is just waiting until I get a good push. Cock magic. Wait till I get a good push. AQR and fucking Awesemo. And it's like, what do? What do? You just sit there and take it, and you have to keep slowly.
They might not win a whole lot of games, but they sure are gonna push a lot to fucking overtime.
Yup.
You beat those guys by 1 bar.
I call it cancer comp for a reason. I really do. It's.
I mean, I've played green for a while. I stopped playing green like after they really nerfed it hard and started playing like sci-fi and adventure fantasy and stuff like that. But I played green for the majority of the time when I first started playing the game and got into legendary, like all through the first season and most of the second season I was playing green. And then I went back to it after the buff that they made to epics and legendaries, and I've played all different versions of it except adventure because I fucking can't stand adventure. And I mean it really is. It's green X is the meta, and then the counter to green X is really
fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi fantasy with cocks, and that's what the meta is, and it's pretty stale. It's pretty boring. I mean, every game I can almost guarantee I'm playing against another mystical player, and then it's just a battle of who gets the right draw at the right time. Like if my opponent starts with Awesemo or Zen Cartman, and I don't have an Awesemo or Zen Cartman or a way to like counter that tempo play, it's really or if I get that and they don't, it's really draw dependent, and
they need to add a mulligan feature to your opening hand. Like they need to add a way to shuffle your opening hand so you have a better chance of starting with what you need.
Yeah, that could be cool.
That'd be interesting. Or what if you could pick your starting hand every time?
No,
like this is gonna be your starting hand every time.
That'd be way too good.
All I just want to touch on that
fucking
on something on something you said earlier, GrayGod. Like clearly, I think a lot of people agree that the Dougie buff was too much in certain aspects, and so you really got to balance. Like, do you want updates every 2 weeks, or do you want shit to be right when it comes through? So with the beta coming out, I think we're going to see a lot more changes that when they hit us, they're going to be good, they're going to be solid, and they won't have to retouch them. But I think it will take a bit longer because they'll have to go through the process of, you know, getting the feedback back, going through the process of coding plus testing plus feedback.
I think we should see
plus
both.
implementation.
I think we should see both. I think that
Eventually,
like,
maybe, yeah.
For cards that need evaluation, cards they're not sure where they stand, it needs testing, it needs time, yes. But like for obvious things like Dougie, they should know within a week of the people complaining that this is a problem and change it.
Yep.
It doesn't require a whole lot of testing. It's obviously an issue. They need to either slow Dougie down or reduce his HP, and like it's so simple.
There are a lot of cards that just be like simple fixes. Like you could obviously tack more HP and attack onto some of the common cards that haven't been touched or, you know, got nerfed to shit from the start. They could easily do that without any testing. You know,
right, and if it doesn't work, they can change it in 2 weeks after that.
Exactly. I would love to see them just change after change after change, as opposed to waiting 1 month or one season for a few random lackluster cards, and they're always going to be targeting cards, you know, that people need to spend money on. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say that because I'm sure they'll do common cards here coming up, but still, it would be great to have them do a lot of changes, because there's so many cards that people know that we know need to be fixed, but it's just, you know, there's three changes coming at the end of this season.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. Actually, we could segue right into that. The changes to Pope, Grand Wizard Cartman, and Imp Tweek. If you haven't heard, I'll run them down quick. Imp Tweek is getting a decrease in his mana from 5 to 4, which I think everybody agrees that should have happened from the start. And Inkin also should be 4. Then he's just getting a stat increase across the board. Not too much, but enough to make him a little bit more playable. Grand Wizard Cartman is also getting a stat buff across the board, as well as I believe his animation for his attack and ability are getting faster, and his charge is going from like 20 seconds to 15 seconds. So a pretty good buff for him. And then Pope is getting the mecha treatment, less attack, faster movement speed, and less knockback. I don't think they touched his health. I think that's what the changes were with Pope. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong there.
That sounds right.
The Grand Wizard Cartman one is probably, people are saying that it's not enough of a buff, but it's actually a really huge subtle buff. Grand Wizard Cartman is notorious for chasing cards.
Yeah.
You can have him attack something and play something in between him, and he will walk around for a year without doing anything at all. He'll just stand there. So adding the aggro changes for him and the faster charge time on his ability is going to be a huge buff. And people are like, it needs to be 5 cost, but no, this is big. How much extra damage he'll be able to put out, and how much.
But is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough to make anybody play him? Because if you're playing fantasy mystical, he's going to play Zen, and if you're playing sci-fi fantasy, you're going to still be playing Asimo. I don't think he's better than Asimo.
He's we're going to have to see just how effective the aggro changes are, but I really think that he's able to compete with Asimo.
I think we're going to see more.
I think Grand Wizard is supposed to end up being the tank for adventure fantasy for that deck if it ever survives again. Well, I don't think that it's enough of a change to make that a viable combo anymore.
Well,
still.
What if we see more Mystic fantasy with Pope bringing back Grand Wizard Cartman after an Unholy Combustion? Because that's a big fucking problem.
Yep.
I can't see mystical players moving away from Zen. Zen's just too good.
I know Nager guy was running MF with Grand Wizard Cartman because he has him at level 4, and it's hard to deal with. The biggest problem with Zen is that he often can end up being a waste of energy. Grand Wizard Cartman is going to at least do damage. He's at least going to have a big freeze and knockback. You can make plays with him.
And didn't they also increase the radius of his charge ability so that it's got a bigger? Yeah. Yep. So I think those changes are all fine. I honestly think they could have done without the stat buffs to him and instead just lowered his cost to 5.
That's what I wanted to.
Don't boost his stats. Fix the chasing, and then maybe not reduce the timer on his charge. Keep the charge where it was.
I think they could have left him exactly how he was, except for the aggro part, and then just drop him to 5, and he would have been perfect.
True. Yeah, that's true.
That would have been fine too, I think. Because the big issue with Grand Wizard Cartman right now is that he can be combusted for a positive energy trade or transmogrified or whatever else.
It's another high risk, high reward kind of card, but the reward's not there. If you're playing Manbear Pig, like that's another point I made in my letter, is that Manbear Pig, he doesn't do that much on his own. He's just a big guy. It takes forever for him to kill one unit, and if you surround him by dudes, he dies. If you combust him, he dies. He's a very risky card to play, but if his attack was faster, I think Manbear Pig would see a lot more play too.
Man, I don't want to see any changes to Manbear Pig. I don't think there's. I honestly don't think there's much more of an oppressive combination than Manbear Pig with Ninju. It's fucking.
It is really good. It is really
terror. Especially when you get the level 4, level 5 Manbear Pigs coming out with that shit. I can't deal with it unless I'm running Unholy Combustion. There's no way I can deal with it.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. The buff that they made to Grand Wizard Cartman might be enough to make him at least a little bit more viable, especially if you are still running Pope, because then you can at least Pope him back and you're getting some value out of it. He is not easy to kill. His ability is useful, and making that ability faster. I don't know if people are going to start playing more Mr. Hanky or not, but he might be decent to run with Mr. Hanky if you can just spam his ability really quick. It is a pretty strong ability.
Yeah. My only issue with Grand Wizard Cartman is that the knockback from his ability kind of defeats the purpose of a tank in a certain way, because they'll retarget back to somebody else if they get too far away. So he really is. You got to put range behind him.
I like it. I like knockbacks for target swapping. That's why I run PCP. It'll let you swap aggro on a target, so more of your cards get an even amount of damage as opposed to just one card taking all the damage.
If you're running Hallelujah, then that type of effect is exactly what you want, because the whole point of running Hallelujah is that you're trying to spread aggro around. That's why you want to play more reactive, because you want your opponent to play first. That way you can say, okay, now I want this card to take some damage, and then I want this guy to take some damage, and then you can throw the Hallelujah, and you get a huge swing and advantage from that. It's just a big tempo play. But if tank is taking all that damage, you're only healing, at max like 700, 800, 900, whatever HP, depending on what level your Hallelujah is at.
Murph wants us to talk about how broken Satan is.
He is broken.
We talked about it last podcast.
He's really good in challenges for sure. And if you have him at level 3 or higher, then he's like the ultimate rogue token right now.
If I had Satan, I'd be running him over AQR in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
but I don't have him. I have a level 1.
Yeah, I got murdered by someone who used him to murder a push and then ninju'd him, and it's just not much you can do. He's got a big body.
I really enjoy that combo.
Most of the decks in the top are built around slow pushes. So you build up a slow push, you defeat their push, and then they Satan you, and the game's on their side.
It is a cool card to bring into the meta, which is full of SDNW catching people behind his new kid with Zen and just building a death ball. So it's cool, but I agree, it's very, very strong, very strong. And I feel like there's my issue is that there's no counter to it. Same with cock magic. There's no counter to it. You can't counter it unless you know it's already gonna come.
He needs a 0.5 second.
Yeah,
at least
you should be able to maybe unholy combustion.
0.5 is actually a lot when you look at it with what it has now. It'd be close to a 1 second delay that he would have, and that's pretty.
It should be similar to Pope. Like Pope, you got to be pretty much hovering to really pull it off. If you're not, with lightning bolt, I guess UC is a little bit quicker. But yeah, it should be similar to Pope, maybe a little bit slower, but you should have a chance, But you got no fucking chance.
Murph in the chat was saying that they tried in friendly and they can't UC him, but I have heard a lot of other things. I haven't personally gone out and tried it, but
I've seen him get UC'd a couple times, but you can't transmog him. It's just too slow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that UC will actually, in fact, take him out.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
it is
maybe
super hard.
they use unholy combustion on somebody else, on the one enemy that they have out beforehand, and then the target switch to Satan.
Put it this way: he's faster than AQR's Warcry, and AQR's Warcry used to be the fastest Warcry. So
I did manage to freeze him once with Osimo on accident. And it didn't really do anything. It just delayed all my guys die in a couple seconds.
Yep. I've seen people freeze him. You can definitely freeze him.
I think it'd be interesting if he hit your new kid, so that you had to play him.
No.
You had to play him on the line, or you couldn't wait till everyone got bunched together close to his new kid.
I hate that idea.
I'm just trying to ruin your deck, SDNW.
I know.
Well, so
bad enough I'm already running like a 4.5 cost deck.
Shit.
So we talked a good bit about Grand Wizard Cartman, but we didn't really talk about Imp, Tweek, or Pope that much.
Yep.
But I mean, I think the changes to Pope are fine. I think Pope will still be playable.
I think Pope's still going to be one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah,
he's great.
Just like Mecha is still one of the best cards in the game. Now I gotta chime in here. But yeah, the Pope changes are fine. The Pope changes are exactly what they need to be. 7 cost is too much for Pope.
Yeah,
it's too much, especially because of, like I was saying, how easy you can counter him. They don't need to make it that much more of an energy loss, because countless times now I will UC a Pope, or my Pope will get UC'd in top play, and it ruins your fucking day. It really does.
I think it just depends.
You have to set it up. Not only are you going and throwing out 6 energy that can be countered, you have to set it up, and it's telegraphed in many instances. Like they can know that you're going to revive something. So yeah. 7 energy is too much for that.
My suggestion to move it back to 7 may have been a bit much, but I mean, thinking about it,
yeah, GrayGod.
Thinking about it as what their intent is with the card, because if they're intending it just as a utility card, to go in any green deck where it's just a strong card, it's really good at 6. But if they are intending it to be like a niche card, kind of like Dougie, where you combo it with Man Bear Pig or Grand Wizard or something big, I think it works fine as 7, and that keeps people from playing it. So it really goes back to like what their intent is with the card, and I don't know. I mean, that's up to them to decide. But
this is true.
Yeah, I mean,
overall, that was what I meant. I'm just clarifying.
I at least think that these changes are reasonable. Like it's a reasonable downshift. He needed a little bit of a nerf. They're giving him a little bit of a nerf. We can see how this impacts it, and then maybe readjust. Same thing with Mecha Timmy. I thought the changes to Mecha Timmy were fine. He's still incredibly powerful. He's still very playable.
I think the changes were actually better for Mecha, because you can't waste your ability anymore. If you use it and somebody, if you use it and the person that you were going to target dies, you don't lose it anymore.
I noticed that, and I thought that was really weird.
But you can't pre-proc it though. Like you can't. That's the thing. Like if you know a rogue token's going to come, you can't click it before he comes and steal him. So that's kind of good and bad there. But I like the fact that if I'm going to target somebody that's about to die and he dies, I don't lose it.
I don't know if I like that, because there's not any other card that shares that ability. Like if you, for instance, for Angel Wendy, if you use Angel Wendy's ability and the target she was going to hit dies, you don't get her ability back. Yeah, like it's gone.
That sucks.
Well, what about Catapult and Pirate Ship? Those would be the two.
Well, Catapult, Pirate Ship, you don't get the ability back. Like if the unit dies, he'll shoot the cannonball and hit nothing if there's nothing in there to hit. And Timmy, if the unit dies, you still get the rats. The rats will spawn where the dead unit was. So you don't lose the
location. Throws them though. It doesn't really matter whether it's a unit or not.
Mm-hmm.
So right. I think it's inconsistent for them to give Mecha Timmy the ability back if you miss it. Like I think if you miss it, you should lose it. Either that, or they need to change other characters to match that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think people are probably just getting pissed about mind controlling Cox or stuff that they know are about to die, and they would lose the mind control altogether because of it. Because I know a lot of times people start mind controlling one of my snakes while they know the snake is going to die now. So
Well, and like Glanzer was saying,
well, I mean, no, if it's only if there's no target, it will still switch to a different target.
Right.
But it's only if there's absolutely no target to grab.
But it was like Glanzer was saying, though, is this removed one of, like, I think the best or the coolest skill plays with Mecha Timmy is the casting his ability early, anticipating something like a rogue token. You can't do that anymore. I used to love doing that.
Yeah, I agree. That is kind of sad that that's gone, because that was legit. That was fun as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you had an assassin running in. You knew they were going, or maybe two assassins. You knew they ran rogue token, and that was probably the play they were going to make. And so you could just try and like kind of guess when your opponent was going to cast it, start that ability, and then I caught a couple of people with it, and it's just incredibly powerful to.
I absolutely hated it, but we all know I'm biased as fuck. So.
All right, guys, let's move on. Well, I guess unless you guys want to talk more about Imp, I think Imp is going to be.
I don't think Imp's been proven yet. I mean, he didn't see any play at 5. At 4, he might be a good card. He might actually see some play. His ability's kind of wonky, so nobody really knows if he's good or not.
He's definitely wonky. I had him and I dropped him like behind tower because someone played. I forget what the hell they played right off the bat. I did on stream the other night. I played something. I think it was Stand of Many Moons. They dropped first thing off right behind their new kid. So I used Imp Tweek, went right behind the new kid, and they dropped Hook Hand Clyde in front of the new kid, hoping it would hit Tweek. It did not hit Tweek, but Imp, instead of hitting the new kid, which was like right in front of him, he like went right over the new kid and started chasing Hook Hand Clyde, and chased Hook Hand Clyde all the way to like center line. And I was just like, wow. Fuck.
Dude, yeah,
I think I lost that match too.
There's some crazy shit with Imp. Like if you freeze him, if you freeze the person that he swaps with, he comes back and he's frozen for the rest of the game. Like there's some bugs with them.
I kind of agree with what Execute was saying. I wish they would just redo him entirely and just change his ability. Like
I really like his ability. Honestly, I really do. It's just the 5 cost was hindering me from playing him. So I'm definitely going to be running him next season. How long I'm going to be running for him, we'll have to see, and how effective he actually is. But
he's good if like your opponent drops a Zen Cartman like behind their new kid or something, and then you just drop Imp Tweek behind yours, and then you put their Zen Cartman behind your new kid, and then it's like, you're not going to have a Zen Cartman for a while, and he's going to be damn near useless behind my new kid, other than just eating, zap damage. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. I don't think he's going to get I don't think this is the Dougie treatment for him. I know some people were saying that they think that he'll be overpowered. I don't think he'll necessarily be overpowered.
At first, I thought he'd be overpowered, but then I saw the stat changes, and I don't think he's going to be overpowered.
Yeah, I mean, just being random,
some stupid attack buff, because then
he is going to be annoying.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that it's random really kind of takes away the absolute utility of him, because it might be awesome. And he's one of those cards where, like we said, there's a % chance that it works out for you. And if you see the Imp come out, there's enough time to put an assassin at the mid line and maybe have him take that instead, and then he's not a threat at all. And in fact, could get your assassin next to his new kid.
Like
where he puts it.
He may end up being like on the level where Dougie probably should be, like, and if that's the case, I think it'll be good, because I think he could still have a similar effect to Dougie, in that he can cause your opponent to make poor decisions as far as like where they're putting units or what units they're committing to the battlefield and win, so that you're able to gain like a push advantage, or some sort of positive energy trade with spells or something like that.
I think he's primarily going to be used like a Marvin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Specifically targeting towers. Now we'll see if he actually starts chasing units instead of the fucking tower like he did to me. I'd really like them to fix his aggro range.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be fun to play with. Like I said, I think his ability is a really cool concept. A lot of really awesome plays theoretically you can do. How reliable they will be is yet to be seen. But
yeah,
I think he's a real good change-up card, real good meta disruptor if used right. So
I think it'd be interesting to see him debuff the person that he switches with in some way.
That would be pretty nice.
Like maybe
right now I'm running all tanks so that I can stuff a tank. stuff a tank in between him and tower.
Yeah, maybe a freeze for a little bit, or like maybe half
think
attack
maybe
for a while.
That's interesting. Half attack for like a couple seconds would be kind of cool.
Yeah, because then if you switch him with, right next to your new kid, you don't really run the risk of him, that guy bashing the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So you could I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm also kind of sad that his HP isn't high enough to make him be able to take a tower, all the zaps from the tower, and the blast without dying. So
right.
So you can't super cheese out 2 bars with him real easy.
All right, so we're gonna jump down past the challenge stuff. We'll go back to challenge and talk the specific challenges, and we'll talk about the current challenge that they're running, which is the first iteration of a challenge where you can actually get event tokens from the challenge, except you can't get event tokens from the challenge. Currently, it is broken, and I figured it out this morning, and Jammin confirmed it on his stream as well. If you guys were watching that, you just don't get them. It shows in your single pack, like your single player screen, that you got them, but if you scroll over to your team view, they're not there. And if you reset your game, they'll all be gone. And that's not only a few of us are seeing that. That's across the board. Everybody I've talked to has seen the same thing. So if you're trying to grind out the event in challenge mode, stop it now. You're going to grind for 4 hours, reset your game, and find out that you don't have 4 packs done. You got none done. So I'm sure they'll fix that. I already forwarded it to Buck on Discord. I'm sure it's their weekend, so you won't see the fix until the next time.
So expect some kind of payment offer that they're going to give us.
Yeah.
At the end, you'll get a bunch of free cards for them having
for sure.
Yet another challenge with bugs in it. So
for sure. Although, I mean, I do love the Zap challenge, though. I think it's one of the better challenges. But now let's jump up to talk about the last couple challenges since the last Procast we did, which was about 3 weeks ago, I think 4 weeks ago. So the first one would have been the tank challenge, where tanks had double attack and what was it? Double health and 1.5 attack or something?
I think it was, something like that.
I can't remember. It just said increased attack. It didn't give you the exact number.
It was glorious. I love tanks.
It was a fun. I thought that was a fun challenge.
I hated it.
Watching just all these giant units just sitting on the middle of the field bashing each other, and people are like, "Oh, it's so slow paced," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's hilarious."
Like I have my whole deck out on the field right now. My entire deck's out on the field right now. This is awesome.
I miss those days. I miss the old Mystic Fantasy whole deck out on the field days.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really like it because when I was playing it, it was just Mimsy and then Dougie's, which I just found annoying. But
see, they're playing wrong.
It was just nice for me to get to play Sheriff Cartman again. It's been way too long.
It was interesting because it was something a little bit different from like the typical challenge that we see, where it's the adventure fantasy with PC principle kind of shtick. And this was, anytime that it changes up the decks, I'm happy with it. But at the same time, these decks ended up being very, very slow to play against each other. Like games were just taking forever, and it wasn't a challenge mode that I wanted to do more than once or twice. After running once or twice, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. And so I wonder if that's the type of event that we won't see repeated, just simply because I bet they have stats on how many people, refresh the challenges, and they'll see people didn't really like this one. But clearly, the Zap one, like I said, I think a lot of people like the Zap one because it's interesting, because it doesn't affect the deck necessarily, just kind of affects how you play. And those are fun ones to me.
Yeah, I like the Zap one because it makes it to where you can't just run an assassin out by itself. If they do that, you're just like, all right, well, my tower's going to kill it. And,
right.
Yep. I'm 4-0 right now with my full green deck, and right before the stream, gotta give out big shout outs to my boy Spare Some Gains, because I beat him with the green dream, so feeling good about that.
I love all of your mono green decks, man. They're so
Good
much
stuff.
fun to watch.
It's fun, man. It's fun. That's what I'm trying to do with the game now at this point, because there's no way I'm keeping up with these whales. So it's just like, whatever. I'll just stop spending money.
We'll start a GoFundMe for you, SDNW.
There you go.
Keep SDNW in the top 25.
Yep.
All right, the next challenge was the Mr. Slave pre-made deck ones, which pre-made deck ones to me are always fun, because it's all about knowing the decks you're going up against and then counterplaying based on what they're gonna be. I didn't like it because there were like 7 cards in each that were the same, so it was kind of like which one. I
actually thought that was better for this one because the previous pre-con challenges they did really were imbalanced. There was like one deck that was just so much better than all the other ones, and you just lost if you played against it. And like this one, at least all the decks had most of the same cards, so you were on pretty even playing field, and there was just little nuances to how you played. I thought this one was a lot more fun than most of the other pre-constructeds.
It definitely had a lot more skill aspect built into
it. I think what Melandera said is what I agree with. Satan was the big issue in that challenge. It just made, it made games way too difficult to close. Like you could like make good decisions and get positive energy trades and have a nice push going against your opponent, and then they just play Satan, and it's like, oh well.
You just had to know that the Satan was coming. If you watch my stream, I streamed that whole challenge, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this, and now I know that Satan's coming, so I'm getting ready. And Satan would always come out whenever I called it.
I mean, all you had to do was adjust your playstyle accordingly, because like you knew everybody had one. So
you had it, they had it.
Sure, yeah.
You do the same thing. You just had to play around it.
But like I said, it just made it to where it was that much harder to get any kind of a push going for either player, no matter what you were doing.
I mean, that's what top 25 of Legendary feels like.
Oh yeah, you're definitely not lying there.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of similar to when you're playing against Cock Magic. You know, once you know it's coming out, you gotta play. You can't drop more than a couple cards at a time. You gotta slow play it, like not like slow push play, like really slow play it. Only play when you're at 10 energy. You know, really prevent them from getting a good cost on their Cock Magic, or only push heavily after they've also pushed heavily. You know, but I think Cock Magic should be 6 cost in my opinion.
I agree.
Cock 5 is so fucking little.
Such a valuable card. It's such a valuable card.
But I will admit it was very cool to have the new cards in the challenge mode where everybody could play them. Anybody who didn't get Satan in the packs before was able to play him. You know, we were able to see Mr. Slave before he was technically released. So I think that was pretty cool. And I would honestly rather it be cards that we're not going to get ever. Like a spell that's never going to be in the game because it would break the game, like an invincibility spell, and you could only use it for that challenge. And I think that would be really fun to see something that you'd never see anywhere else. Not just like something early.
The devs aren't going to spend the time developing something that would never actually see play in ladder PvP.
They have cards that they're never going to release made, I'm sure. Promise you that.
Maybe they might have that, yeah. But I mean, are they fully functional with art and everything else? That's too true. Is another question.
Yeah, I mean that'd be something for an intern to do. That's for you. That's for you, SDNW.
Yep. Go sign my petition.
I know we're talking about the challenge, but you know the slave event. Like I was really kind of disappointed that you didn't get more copies out of the Mr. Slave event. I mean, I only did the slave challenge I think once. Like I did one run through of that, and I didn't get any Mr. Slaves out of that. And I didn't refresh it. And then out of the event, I only got one. And I finished the entire event, and only got one. And I'm like, really? Like.
Yeah, I think
I don't understand why they can't guarantee at least 3 copies to everybody who finishes the event. So that way you at least can use it in future challenge modes at the max level.
Because they want you to buy the packs.
The $10 pack to get him his first upgrade. Yeah. Well, I thought I don't see why like your first 12-0 of the challenge get a slave for sure. There's stuff that they could definitely do, but I can understand how it might be hard to come up with exactly what would work and then what wouldn't be grindable for somebody else to just like get 400 copies of Slave the moment he comes out. But yeah, if you limit it to like your first run, you get guaranteed one, because that's 45 cash for an epic or 50 cash for an epic. It's pretty good, pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
All right, now the next challenge was, in my opinion, probably the most fun I've ever had playing challenge. Was the spell challenge, where all spells were worth 1. Now, Youth Pastor Craig was the go-to, but I actually went 12-0 with a sci-fi adventure deck and I was hyperdriving, freezing, and mind controlling, and it was fucking hilarious. And Terrence and Philip with that hyperdrive are fucking monsters, dude.
Mhm.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
It was all about sniping that challenge. It was basically a reflex test.
People fucking trying to trick you. People putting Youth Pastor cred right above New Kid to hope you miss him. People putting him at the bottom line, like Murph was talking about, putting him in the bottom, and then your cards are kind of in the way. Or playing 4 cards before. Like, it was so much fun.
I only missed one Youth Pastor Craig during the whole challenge, and that was because I had leg. So
it was pretty fun.
As they played Youth Pastor Craig, and I was just like, "The fuck is this?" It was like my first match too, and I was just like, "No!" I thought I TC'd. I won 12-0.
I thought that the deck variability was really bad, but the gimmicky part of it was actually kind of interesting. Just being really, really quick with spells, and you don't really get a good opportunity to do that outside of the challenge. I only did one run in it, and like I think I ended up 20th in this challenge.
Yeah, dude, I saw you. You were like 25, I think. Yeah, that was great.
When I did the run, I was like 4th, I think, when I finished the run, and by the time I was done, I'd moved down to 20th.
Yeah.
That was, man, it was just a blast, just knocking shit out, fireball everywhere.
I couldn't believe how I didn't see anybody playing regen. No one was talking about regen. They're all like, 6 spells is too much, but
my first run I ran regen. And then everyone in chat was like, "Why are you fucking running regen over Hallelujah?" And I was like, cuz then shit can just get zapped by a New Kid for like an hour and it doesn't matter.
Both.
I ran both, yeah.
I did them both for a while, and then I did change it because I got stuck with 5 in my hand with a Youth Pastor once.
gotta be the better sniper, man.
Dude, I didn't have lightning bolt. I just didn't have it in my hand.
Dude, I threw spells, like just wasted them so I would be able to snipe him. You could throw a spell and still snipe.
That's true. That's true.
So,
I pretty much just made sure I always had at least one direct removal spell for Youth Pastor Craig.
Yep.
Yeah, the first deck I did was like the typical, like everyone was running Youth Pastor, regens, all that kind of shit. In my second deck, the sci-fi one, I did better. I lost less because I always had actual cards to play. So that 30 seconds with Youth Pastor, I could just defend, and then when I had a decent push, I hyperdrive those bitches, and then I froze what they were defending. It was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, what Gandaris said was, I had that happen to me probably once or twice where my opponent got a Youth Pastor Craig off, and I had like a handful of spells that I couldn't cast, and I just had to sit there for fucking 35 seconds doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. Like that kind of sucked, but most of the time, as long as you were looking out for Youth Pastor Craig, like I would never play units until I would save up my energy, pull it up, and then drop a couple of units, and then drop Youth Pastor Craig like right behind the New Kid to start a push. And if it connected, then I would lean on my spells. But other than that, I was always looking out for Youth Pastor Craig and just getting ready to blow him up as soon as I saw him.
My Youth Pastor Craig
was definitely fun.
Didn't get killed very often. I was amazed at how often I didn't get killed. Like, and I was just like, I'm nailing him every fucking time. And maybe one a game I'm missing, but oh yeah, Murph's right. We did learn. Maybe we knew this before, but Youth Pastor Craig does not stack. So when you poked him back a little bit early, which I don't think was a good fucking play.
No,
running Pope in that challenge. Anyone doing that was out of their mind.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I saw people running Man Bear Pig. That was even more insane.
I ran into at least like 2 or 3 people playing Man Bear Pig, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, sometimes you get earlier today. I had a match against somebody which is like either just winning with the wrong deck or clearly doesn't understand the concept.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was interesting. It was different. I don't think it's a challenge that I would necessarily want to see a lot of, more repeats of. But I mean, it was different being able to just throw spells out like that.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they banned Youth Pastor Craig from it.
Right, exactly. I would love to see that. Yeah,
that would actually
give you a little taste of what the energy hackers used to have. That's what
exactly. Yeah. I would love to have just seen spells only, and you just see who can cycle to fireball and lightning bolt faster.
Oh, that would have been boring as shit, man.
Yeah, that would piss me right the fuck off.
But no, I like the idea of doing a similar challenge like this, but then banning Youth Pastor Craig to where it just it's just spells galore, and everybody's going crazy.
Yeah, that would have been really fun. Really fun, actually. Like, fuck me, that would have been way better.
Yeah, because I mean, with Youth Pastor Craig, it just really narrowed. Like, you're either playing Youth Pastor Craig, or like you said, you just have to play a deck, and you have to be ready. Because if you get hit with Youth Pastor Craig and you're not running Youth Pastor Craig, you're just not going to do very well. You're going to end up with a handful of spells that you can't cast at some point. Yeah, and your opponent's going to blow up every damn thing that you put on the board.
Yeah, I had some guy who had UC and Unholy Combustion. I was just like, or not, sorry, that's the same thing. UC and Transmog, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. Just fucking killing everything I put out. I'd put down a 2-drop or something, he'd still kill it. It didn't even matter.
Yeah, I originally was gonna do the event with MF, so I could do Transmog, Cock Magic, and Unholy Combustion. But yeah, Fireball and Lightning Bolt and Aerostorm.
You can't beat that. That really is the Aerostorm was incredibly effective the whole time. One cost Aerostorm, god damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
One cost Fireball, like it was all good.
Very fun.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. What did they call it? The Spellslinger event? And
Spellbinder or something, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like you were just slinging spells, and it was good. It was good. It was a good time. Good change up.
All right, guys.
I'm still waiting for them to do the all level 7 event where every card is 7.
All level 7 is going to be a great one. I bet that happens. And then another one that's going to be great is when they remove the deck restrictions, so you can use like all 4 themes. I think that one will be really fun. And I imagine it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I would like to see something like that. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Or one where you could do duplicates of cards. Where you could actually play, they'd have to change some stuff probably in the code, but where you could play like two Cartman cards at once or something like that. I think that would be kind of interesting too.
Entire field of 6-element Randys.
You could play a deck full of Bebe, just all the Bebes. All the Bebes behind Zen Cartman and Osimo and PC Principal and
or one where you could put copies of the same card, like 5 Ninjus and just Ninju and Ninju and Ninju and Ninju and Ninju. That'd be pretty fucking hilarious.
I'd be so down with that. That'd be fucking awesome. Multiple Ninjus. Make it all 1 cost too while we're at it. Just maximum shenanigans.
Quadruple energy.
Yep.
5 staffs out at once.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys.
Multiple staffs.
So that concludes our South Park Phone Destroyer talk for now. We'll catch some questions. Pope. There you go. We'll conclude with some questions at the end. So if you have some questions, !Q space add and then type your question, and we'll catch those at the end. But right now we're going to switch over to a little bit of talk about the reason we're all here, the South Park show. The 2 episodes that happened since our last podcast were the Man Bear Pig finale, where, spoiler alert, Satan gets fucking murdered. And Buddha Box, which was just earlier this week about social anxiety and cell phones and shit. But let's start with the Man Bear Pig one. Once again, I thought the animation of that fight was fucking fantastic. Their animation has really stepped up.
They really outdid themselves with the last. This whole season has had really just phenomenal animation. So whatever they did, super kudos and props to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fucking blown away by it, man.
It's all that phone destroyer money.
It is. Hey, so it's something good about us whaling, all right?
David and Shane financed that episode.
Oh, we should have watched the credits. Maybe there's a special thanks in there for him.
Yeah, thanks for all the money.
But then I also thought it was really cool, just the concept of, they made a deal with Man Bear Pig. The old grandpas are like, you don't understand. We wanted our cars. And then at the end, they're like, give up Red Dead Redemption?
What was it? Soy sauce.
And soy sauce.
Redemption soy sauce.
Just plain rice?
Plain rice? Yeah, that's what I thought too. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
And then they're like, so in 5 years, and it said only in 5 years. So imagine if if South Park is still going in 5 years, and Man Bear Pig comes back. and only the diehard fans know. They're like, oh man, it's this season. Man Bear Pig's coming back this season.
Yep.
So I love the part, what Druzy said, where Satan died and then he went to heaven and Kyle
got his angel wings and flew away. Yeah, it was the best.
This is really fucked up, guys.
I have that as my banner on Facebook right now because I love that picture so much of Satan with the angel wings and the halo. So good. So good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It was really good, and I liked seeing Al Gore on the Daily Show when he was asked about the episode, and he was talking about how he's watched both of them.
Right. So good.
You weren't cereal.
Yeah.
Nobody got cereal enough.
It was a very good episode in South Park's satire fashion, and I'm really glad that this season has had a real comeback to that.
That's been a great season so far.
Social commentary, satire. That's what I love about South Park the most is the social commentary.
Yeah,
and this season's been really good about it. So
yeah,
it has, and I've enjoyed pretty much. Well, I would say most of the episodes. Some of them have a little bit lacking, but for the most part, they've all been pretty entertaining. I still like
Hanky.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, the Hanky episode and the Halloween episode, I think, were the two weakest this season.
Probably, yeah. And
I still fun for the animation.
I still wish they would have addressed
and Kenny
or
died.
at least somewhat followed up on the fact that they ended last season by nuking Canada, and there hasn't been one mention.
There's two more episodes. I'd really like them to do something with that.
One mention or any ramification for nuking Canada, nothing.
Even in the end of that season, the season finale almost had nothing to do with nuking Canada. There was almost no mention of it.
Yeah,
but there haven't been any Canadians though.
It's true.
Yeah. Good riddance.
We haven't seen Terrence and Phillip anywhere. But I mean, you would think there would be some sort of ramification for nuking Canada, some amount of retaliation, something going on. But
they're going to come and attack with hockey sticks probably in the finale. So just like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I've enjoyed most of the episodes. The Man Bear Pig episodes were probably some of my favorite that I've seen in quite a while.
It's great to see another two-parter where they can really have a nice long story.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Now the next one, Buddha Box, which was just this last Wednesday.
I liked this one. I saw a lot of people saying they didn't like it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was another one of those really nice social commentaries. It was the psychologist has Cartman there, and he's like, well, I think you have social anxiety. And Cartman's like, is that cool? And he's like, well, it means you have an excuse to be an asshole to everyone and incredibly lazy. It's that's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So
that's all I needed to hear.
The Namaste line was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did real well with that. PC babies were in it, wearing the Muppet Babies outfits. It was good.
I really like the PC babies. They've been a pretty funny addition, and I like that they continued a little bit with the PC principal and Strong Woman storyline.
I like that too. That they're not that they're doing some what's the word for it? It's not syndicalized. Is that the word? Syndication? I don't know. I like that they're carrying on the stories like that and tying them in kind of like a sitcom, but at the same time they're not going overboard like they did in season 20 with it.
Right, where there's there is a continuing story, but it's not every episode, every story. Yeah.
Right.
My favorite part of that episode was just how once PC Principal and Strong Woman realized that everybody was so just into their phone and not paying attention to the outside world, they were like, we can be free to be ourselves and love each other and live our lives.
I was so happy for him, man. I was so happy for him. I just want to see PCP happy. So good.
Maybe we'll get some more nods to Phone Destroyer in the show.
Yeah, we had the Mecha Timmy.
We got the Mecha Timmy, yeah. But it does seem kind of like the way the season's gone, there's been plenty of opportunities for them to do that. I think the people that are playing Phone Destroyer are probably the most hardcore fans.
Probably, yeah. The people who are really into the game and not leaving despite whale issues and things like that.
Yeah.
And all the bugs and everything. Clearly, we're dedicated fans, and we deserve some credit. South Park.
Yeah, it would have been great to, you know, in one of the times when they were looking at their phone, you just saw the game being played, or you hear the phone destroyer.
When Cartman was on the toilet, and in whatever episode it was, when he was sitting on the toilet with his phone, in the vaping episode, he was sitting on the toilet, and he's got the phone sideways like that, and I'm just like, oh God, please let him be playing Phone Destroyer, please.
I will say, though, if you watch it...
super fourth wall breaking, though. But
yeah, if you watch it on... if you watch it on Comedy Central, they do have a banner every once in a while that brings up Phone Destroyer, but I don't see anything like that on Hulu or anything like that, so kind of a missed opportunity. You should. I mean, I guess I have my ads off too, so maybe they're running ads for it. I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know. I watched it on Hulu with no ads too. So.
I pay for my Hulu, so.
Pay for my Hulu.
I'm a good consumer.
But I did find out that you can watch the episode on Comedy Central without even logging into like a cable thing. So that's kind of interesting.
Yep. You can watch it on South Park. SouthParkStudios.cc.
Yep. There's quite a few ways. I think they're pretty good.
I used to exclusively watch it on there on SouthParkStudios.cc, but then they eventually sold to Hulu, and now you only get a certain rotation of free episodes. So, It used to be you could watch any single episode you wanted, and the only thing you had to deal with was commercials, which I was fine with. But now I buy Hulu specifically for goddamn South Park, so.
Dude, there's some good Hulu originals out there. You gotta check them out.
The only reason I bought it, man. That's the only reason I bought it was South Park.
You gotta watch that Chance show with Hugh Laurie. That one's really good.
Yeah, I don't have time to watch.
Plugging that shit.
I just watch South Park in the background like all the goddamn time. It's always on in the background at work and stuff when I'm doing reports and things like that. Yeah.
All right, guys. You got anything else to say about South Park or the episodes or anything like that? Any final words? Before we move on to questions.
Good season so far. Just hope for more.
Yep. There should be 2 more episodes. This last one was episode 8. Last season was 10 episodes. I think the season before that was 10 episodes. So I'm assuming that's what we're going with. So yeah, 2 more episodes. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a 2-parter. It usually is a 2-parter for the last episode.
They seem to have dropped the whole hashtag cancel South Park thing.
Yes, they did. They stopped doing that. I think they realized that this season is going too well. Yeah. I guess people like us either way. So.
All right, so guys, if you are watching this on the replay on YouTube, this is when we're gonna switch to the questions. If you're on Twitch right now, !Q !ad, and then type your question, and then it comes to us in a way where we won't miss any of your questions. I might skip over some if they're bad questions, but I'm at least going to see them all. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, you catch this will be in a different video just to split it up because YouTube doesn't like really long videos. So we'll do this on a part 2. And right now on everybody's faces, there will be links to their profiles and stuff. GrayGod, we'll have some time where you can plug some of your other podcasts and stuff that you do at the end here.
Okay, sure. Cool.
But let's move over to the questions. So